So yesterday, one of my revelations, discoveries in my head and how it all works together in why certain cultures have predispositions over other cultures and why people with similar genetics have certain predispositions. And it's interesting because I'm like, oh my God. But this is just kind of recap of yesterday. Like I discovered that when you have a type of melanin in your body, like a bunch of melanin in your body, it shields you from the UV rays to where then you could potentially turn vitamin D deficient. And so that's why certain cultures out there that have darker pigmentation have predispositions of cancer, disease, and chronic illness or sickle cell anemia because of the fact of their darker skin has blocked UV rays due to its self-protection, and now it's wired into the genetics. And when it's wired into the genetics, it then has a hormonal imbalance, but the imbalance is there for a reason as a protection mode, but it also is over imbalanced or it's producing too much melanin, and this is why we have people with certain predispositions. So that was my interesting revelation yesterday. So check out some of my videos from yesterday because that was pretty crazy. But anyways, as far as words go, I mean, I have to talk about like fact versus fiction because it's like I see a lot of people look at the medical industry and they take everything that they say as gospel because they get very easily persuadable by words and then how they string together the words to then create a meaning, a reality that actually doesn't exist or exists, but it's based upon which side of the spectrum you are on. And so I'm attempting to explain this in my way because I do want to write about it, but I have to really get it clarified in my head on how I want to present this type of thought process, because this is what's so confusing of why you have people in the lay world who are very subjective because they've been taught to be that way, listen to those that are very subjective, that have created texts and manuals and everything, create them as if they were fact, when in fact, it's just a perspective, a meaning they apply to the facts. And that's difficult because you have to break down the English language. And I mean, I got it in school, English, subject, predicate. We used to diagram sentences in third grade. I remember doing that where you had to write the sentence out and then you had to put like this, like a little thing like this and like this, and you had to put it in, this is the noun and this is the verb and then this is the subject and this is the predicate. And so that way we knew how to construct sentences to figure out what we were trying to apply some kind of meaning to or tell a story about a specific subject. So the predicate is based upon the subject at hand and what the story you're trying to tell. And so that's one of the biggest things about the English language. When it comes to the stories out there, whether it's the Second Amendment, whether it's a politics, whether it's the vaccines or anything else, any story that people are trying to tell, the English language is very used to drive realities that may not even be true, but it's a reality that people buy into. And they live from these realities as if it was the actual fact. And it really isn't, because look at the word pain. Pain really isn't a scientific term. Pain is just the word pain. It's a feeling of disease, a feeling of, okay, well, it is a scientific term, but then people apply meaning to that. Okay. Pain has its connotation. I mean, yeah, you could say, yeah, pain, if it's a feeling of disease, a discomfort. And what do people automatically think when they hear about pain? That it needs to be alleviated. Well, yeah, it does, but now in what way? And then that's where it goes down this rabbit hole of which direction, okay? Because yeah, who wants to be in continuous pain? But there's so many different layers upon these words that then these realities become so like just, I don't know, circuitous, superfluous. I mean, that's probably not the right words. They've become so intense that it's hard to pull people out of these realities because there's so many layers of programming around it. So let's just at least kind of dissect it and figure out how we can separate fact from fiction. Okay. And I learned a few things in landmark education that it was great to hear about a couple of years, like back in the 90s, 93, 94, 95, but I never really physically understood it. Because when you have a disjointed body, mind, and spirit, you can intellectualize really good information, like all the different quotes from like Gandhi and Martin Luther King, but to actually live really, really awesome quotes, you have to have your biochemistry really aligned to understand on a physical level what some of these enlightened type of sentences are. Like the whole thing with teach a man to fish, you feed him for a week, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Okay, you get that, but when in reality, people rather be fed a fish and not be taught a fish. Like they don't want to learn about J juice. They want J juice to give them all the results. They don't want to learn about what it's about, and then when it doesn't come up the way they expect, then they want to blame J juice, right? So we have people that believe in the Jesus side of life. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish, you feed him for life. No, they'd rather have people give them stuff. Give me all the information, Jillian. Break it down for me. What happened to the quote of Jesus because of giving a man a fish versus teaching a man a fish, or vice versa? It's because people don't physically live that. They'd rather have somebody give them information versus having someone teach them how to understand and learn information. And so that's the situation that I'm in, is that I can live that specific lifestyle of where I can teach myself how to fish versus somebody giving me a fish. All I gotta do is go to open source information, Google, and then I've taken the J juice, and now I can kind of separate fact from fiction for the most part. I can figure out what is completely like asinine as far as just paranoia and what is legitimately I should be scared of. But you really have to have an aligned biochemistry to know that there are certain things that, yes, you must be scared of. Yes. Some people don't even know what to be scared of because they have a misaligned body, mind, and spirit. So they have no fear in this when they should really. And then they're fearful of this when they really shouldn't be, and vice versa. So you have people on both ends of the spectrum that are practicing misalignment. So do facts have meaning? Well, each word is broken down. So do facts have meaning? A fact can be defined as something that is the case, that is a state of affairs. Facts may be understood that information that makes a true sentence true. Facts also may be understood as those things at which a true sentence refers. So how do you measure a fact? Well, physicalness, when you think about it, because a fact that your blood circulates. Well, it's not some kind of meaning that someone applied because they were like, oh yeah, blood circulates. That's just something, out there. It's just some theory. No, when you actually look and you open up the body, okay, and you see the part pumping, then you see the blood circulating. And so that's not some theory. It's an actual fact. So a fact that your blood is pumped and it circulates, that's a true statement. Now, what could be fiction is when you apply a meaning to it. Oh my God, when your blood circulates, it means it's bad. It means that, oh my God, you shouldn't have that happen. And that's when people start making up. That's why when you look at people like Luke Radowski, when We Are Changed, and he's making up these facts that Bill Gates doesn't care about the people. He only cares about vaccines. He doesn't think about food and water. And I go and Google just really quickly what Gates Foundation, their philanthropic projects are, and he's doing like the water projects, the hygiene and turning feces into water, whatever. So people are making up their own meaning and making up their own facts because people don't know how to separate from fact from fiction. And that's what's really scary about the people that aren't on J Juice and that are listening and watching all this stuff. So that's why there's censorship, because so many people have made up so many facts that aren't really facts. They're making up stories and they're presenting them as if they were fact. And that's a scary thought. And that's what I deal with people that try to slam me, is that they don't look at the science, because I have substantiated every single thing based on facts. But I know there's a different meaning behind my facts, which is, what is pain? Pain is not a bad thing, but you don't want to have it on a continuous basis. And yes, it should be resolved, but it should not be resolved in the way in which the allopathic holistic industry. But who determines that, and why would I determine that? It's based upon laws. Laws are facts, but like, what kind of laws? There's unjust laws. Yeah, there are, but there's still laws of life and death, or we wouldn't be here. If we were constantly violating the laws of life to where it was so immediate there would be no human race because you'd all be freaking dead. So somebody is actually abiding by the laws of life in some way, shape, or form. Now we need to expound upon it. Okay? So words have meaning. So how you determine what is fact from fiction is physicalness. Yes, blood does circulate. What is blood? Blood is made up of plasma and water and this and that. Okay? And then you start breaking down everything in that one sentence. It's like you break down a sentence and you look up each word and each meaning in the sentence. And then you go into like subject, predicate. What is a predicate? Predicate is a story you tell about the subject. And then, yes, words do have meaning. Okay? But there's facts where, okay, a cell is this, this, and this. And then when cells break down, when cells break down, someone says it's bad or good. So when you apply a type of judgment, bad or good, or, any kind of adjective, when you describe something to where you place a meaning of good and bad, evil or whatever, that's where you're creating out a story. And that's where you look at the word like context. Context is where you separate worlds. So context could be religion, politics, and science. So those are all contexts. What is con? Con is, you actually break up the word con, and you look, con is swindle, defraud, cheat, trick, fleece, dupe, deceive. Text is a written language. Text is like when you write context, that's text. And so then you realize that people are driving realities through a type of duping with words. Okay? And like contacts. Okay? When someone, like this whole contact tracing, I've been reading about contact tracing and how it's going to be a real threat to your freedom, especially if somebody in your world has been exposed or test positive for corona and you're in their circle of people and they start contacting everybody in their web of networking, and you're one of those people that they've hung out with, and they say, okay, you've been exposed to the COVID. Now when did you last see your friend? Oh, I saw them like, I don't know, June, whatever. And they're like, okay, well, you've been exposed. You need to be quarantined for 14 days, isolation, away from your dog, away from your cats, away from everybody, by yourself, with your own bathroom, with your own kitchen, and for 14 days. Holy crap. Contact tracing. Con, defraud, fleece. What is tact? Oops, what is tact? T-A-C-T. Sensitivity, understanding, thoughtfulness, consideration. So when you con somebody, defraud them with your consideration, I'm contacting you. Okay? You're defrauding them with thoughtfulness, consideration, delicacy, understanding. And it could be very well intentioned, but you see these words have meaning. And so when they're doing this contact tracing, then you look at the context, okay? That could mean that, yes, somebody could have nefarious, intentions trying to suppress your freedoms by telling you that you must now be quarantined. And this whole contact tracing is like the modern day Gestapo. I mean, yeah, there is that meaning, or there is a meaning of, well, hey, you've just been exposed. This person is tested positive in your world, and we want to stop the spread. So now everybody that's in that person's immediate vicinity that they've ever been in contact with is now have to go in quarantine. Yeah, that would suck. That would suck. What meaning you apply to it is totally up to you. Okay? And, and that's our world that we live in. Okay? So the thing with the medical industry and with everything that we have, these for and against type of things, it's based upon somebody's meaning they applied. They've applied a meaning to a fact that is trying to tell a story of nefariousness or benevolence. Okay? So either you're on one side of the coin of nefariousness, you're on the side of the coin of benevolence. And I don't think it's either benevolence or nefariousness. I just think that, hey, they have found scientifically that if you stop people from commingling, or not commingling, but mingling, okay, and there's a major virus, regardless of your situation, you could be on the J juice, completely fine. You've been exposed to someone, but it's not going to really hurt you. But they don't know your situation. I mean, maybe they test you. Maybe the way for you to get out of quarantine is they test you and you have no antibodies. But they say it could come up in like 4 or 5 days. You may not become up positive for like maybe 10 days in the 14 days. I don't know. Okay. So that's the kind of world that we live in. But to understand as far as Jilly Juice and the medical industry and the holistic industry, what does pain mean? Pain is feeling the discomfort. There really is no meaning, but there is an inferred meaning that it's a bad thing. Well, okay, yeah, it is. It says your body is in an upgrade process, but when someone is in continuous pain, now the meaning is like, okay, it means it's bad. But you guys are like 60 years old, 70 years old, 50 years old. You've had so many predispositions your whole life. You're doing J juice and you're going to be in pain for the next freaking 4 years or 3 years. I've been in like up and down pain for the last 4 years. Okay. It's not fun, but every single time I get exposed to a virus, my body upgrades, though each exposure is not as severe as the last. But how do you tell somebody this? How do you get this across to people who are so against pain that they want to disappear immediately, even at the detriment of themselves and their friends and family and their children? And so this is where the English language and the Tower of Babel and all the different contexts that are out there, it's like deprogramming the population that has been so programmed for centuries. Okay. And I'll tell you what, it's not easy because even trying to, it's like once I go one direction, man, something else stopped me. I was trying to actually, when I put my little notes this morning, I want to say each word has a meaning. Facts or sentence don't have a meaning. They're just facts. Physicalness. And then I'm like, well, hold on a second. Facts do have a meaning because they're made up of words. Words have meaning. So hold on. I just negated my own thing, So there is, so there has to be where you understand that there is a dictionary. There are specific laws of life that must be understood and applied. So that way you understand the facts and the truth. And then facts are made up of words that have specific meanings that can be proven in real time in physicalness. Okay. And there is no story behind it. Now I could say indefinite life, but there's no way to guarantee that because someone could walk out in front of a car and they don't even know it because they're at a party and they're not paying attention and a car comes by. So I can never promise indefinite life. So that's a whole meaning in a theory that doesn't even belong. But if a person applies probiotics and salt and nutrition from the cabbage and kale, and then they'll go through, they go through symptoms of disease because they have predispositions because of hormonal imbalances. And that could include melanin, okay, which I never thought I'd ever cover, where someone that has a lot of melanin, actually it's a hormonal imbalance. Because melanin is it's a skin color. Let's look at melanin. Oh my God. I need to look that up because that was some major discovery yesterday. I was like, oh my Lord, are you serious? And that has some major implications when you think about it. That has some major, and there's a lot of politics around that. Pigmentation, melanin pigmentation. Is melanin a hormone? Ooh, someone already asked that. Melanin concentrating hormone, MCH, is a cyclic 19 amino acid orexigenic hypothalamic peptide originally isolated from the pituitary gland of teleos fish, where it controls skin pigmentation. Right, because whenever you're exposed to anything, your hormones kick in. And based upon your balances or imbalances in your internal environment and your external environment, is when the body kicks into gear and starts working in a specific way. So if you're saying a whole culture, a whole continent has hormonal imbalance, well, yeah, they are in the process of life and death. They are believing in the death process. Everybody out there right now believes that people should get old and die. And so their body is reacting to their environment. It's going to have an overproduction of melanin, of which then will cause a deficiency in vitamin D. And this is why people are so up on the whole supplements and, vitamin D supplements, because their body is blocking the vitamin D because of the hormonal imbalance. But it has to, because that's the only way body can defend itself. No different than when someone eats food, and it may have, different types of, it may have salt. So the salt can then help the body retain water. And then they have edema, they have swelling. Okay. And then if they have, issues with their heart, you might either have low blood pressure, really high blood pressure. But each extreme is going to cause heart attacks and strokes and potentially die from it. But I mean, what this crazy thing is, yeah, I mean, so when people apply a meaning to melanin, okay, and say that too much melanin is good or bad or whatever, well, when you think about it, when you have hormonal imbalances, that has an end result of disease, of a continuous pain. And then you start looking at the world as a whole and the politics around skin color, and then you start seeing, oh, wow, the lighter skinned people have an easier time than the darker skinned people. Okay? And it's so interesting how it correlates to even just innately what's going on in the human body and the balances and the imbalances. So yeah, melanin is a hormone. And holy crap. So this is like, I don't know, man, this is crazy. This will turn the tables on everything that we have ever known. All the politics around skin color and culture and discrimination and people's views on this and that. And then you look at behaviors in different cultures. This is like busting shit wide open. This is some crazy stuff. Okay. And so I have to figure out how to write about this, because this is some huge stuff. This is some huge stuff. And I don't even know what to say or how to explain it without becoming political, or people are going to be like, holy crap. But I'll find a way. But I just want you guys to kind of look at, the words have meanings, and they do have meanings. Facts are just facts, and they can be based in physical reality. Okay, so when you're doing the J juice, you're going to have a fact that you're going to have some kind of reaction with J juice, because you have a body that is very imbalanced and it needs to recalibrate. And so, yes, but what you make it mean that you have an imbalance and it's going to come up physically for you, you're going to feel pain, is then based upon the context. So there's Jilly Juice context, and then there's the holistic allopathic context. And now you got to look at what does pain mean actually. And then you look at the laws of prostaglandins. Those are hormones that are being suppressed, and then it doesn't help people heal. And then you see the actual true fact that Jilly Juice expresses the prostaglandin so you can heal. So pain actually is a good thing until your body heals, and then you don't fear pain anymore. And that's where Jilly Juice is the truth, the fact that it could give person indefinite life. And that those in the allopathic holistic world are suppressing the prostaglandin. But their whole fact is that you can't have pain. It must be basically relieved immediately through antibiotics. So I'm gonna have to totally figure out those examples. But the melanin concentrating hormone, that's huge, you guys. I can't even express enough. That's huge. So anyways, I'm gonna go do my thing and just think about this some more. I'm gonna call somebody right now. So you probably know who you are if you're watching me. And I will talk to you later. Bye. Hopefully you're available. Bye.